Hi, my name's Chris Young, and welcome to the Ultimate Eve Rookies Incursion Guide. In this video, we're going to show you everything that you need to know to fly an incursion fleet with the Eve Rookies Corporation. The first thing we're going to do is call up your browser and go to the Eve Rookies website. Type everookies.com. Come over here and click on where it says Eve Rookies Incursions. Don't click on the drop-down list, just on the top of the menu. Here's our master page that tells you everything that you need to know about Eve Rookies. We encourage you to browse through this and read everything that interests you, everything that you think you might want to learn about our program. Now, it's one thing to read a web page and read everything and try to make sense out of it, but it's quite another thing to see the operations actually in action. And so we're going to demonstrate to you in this video some of the basics of getting ready to run the incursions. As you can see, I'm going to be playing a character called Sturgis Podmore 5. We're going to click on the character.
Connecting.
Okay, one of the first things we want to do is to find the Eve Rookies Incursions channel. So you go to your chat window, hit the plus where it says open channel window, type Eve Rookies Incursions. And here we are. There's all sorts of useful information in the message of the day. Scroll up to the top here. Here's a channel where you can contact the leadership and get assistance. Information on how to connect to our Discord channel, our Discord server, and you'll want to do that. That's a separate topic. Here's an important one. This channel contains all of our doctrine fittings. So let's join that channel. And you'll see here's skill plans for flying our ships if you don't have the proper skills. Here's the incursion. Here's incursion fittings 2. That's for more advanced ships. There's the booster ship. Only the FC will be using that. Large ships. If you're brand new to incursions, you're probably going to want to look at one of our entry-level ships. Here we have an alpha-friendly Praxis, which is a good ship to start with, especially if you're alpha. You can upgrade to a blaster, a basic entry-level laser Praxis, and then as you get more and more advanced skills, Nightmare, Vindicator, Macario, Hyperion. And then one of our other ships that we need is a Hack Venture, and I'll explain that later. The next thing we need to do is figure out what kind of ship we want to fly. Here's our incursion fittings channel that lists all the different ships. How about a Nightmare? That sounds like an interesting ship. And even though it's a fairly advanced ship, it is an entry level, and it will work for alpha clones. So let's see what that requires. We click on that link. This pops up, and we're going to say simulate fitting. Okay, here's all the different fixtures and modules it has. The thing we want to look at up here is this little orange box. It says, we've got 9 different skills we would have to train in order to fly this ship. It would take us 21 days to get there. Now we could buy and inject those skills, add them to our queue, and 21 days later, we'd be ready to fly the Nightmare. Note, however, that this one skill, long-range targeting 4, requires an Omega clone. So even though technically you could fly a Nightmare with an Alpha account, the skills required to fly this particular fitting would require an Omega. So I think we've reached a little beyond our means. Let's try the Alpha-friendly Praxis blaster. Click on that link. Simulate fitting. No orange box up here. These two little warnings here aren't really important. It just says that this particular fitting has a little bit of diminishing returns because we've fitted multiple modules of the same type, but that's not a problem for us. This was the fitting designed by the eRookie's leadership, and they're comfortable with those limitations. So we've decided we're going to fly an Alpha Blaster. Now we've flown to Jeddah to see if we can buy one of these Alpha Blasters. Click on the Alpha Blaster link. Over here. Click on Buy All. And it racks up everything that we need. Grand total, 307 million ISK. Wow. Well, as things go, that's not a whole lot. But I really don't have 307. I've only got about 275 in my wallet right now. And I'm not sure I want to spend every dime I've got on a ship that I don't know if I'm really going to use. Maybe I don't like flying incursions. For a test run, what am I going to do? Waste all that money on a ship? Well, have no fear. For 250 million, we will rent you a ship just for the fleet. You give us a 250 million deposit, we give you an Alpha Blaster ship. You get to fly it at the end of the fleet, you turn it back in, you get your money back. Doesn't cost you a dime in the long run, and you'll be making lots of ISK flying incursions. So you don't even need to risk your own money on buying a ship. When it's an entry-level ship like this, we'd be happy to rent one to you. In this section, we're going to tell you how to set up your overview. Now, if you've already been playing eRookies for a while, you probably already have a custom overview, but in case you don't, we're going to show you how to set one up. First, we're going to undock our ship, and then to keep from drifting around, we're either going to hit Control Space to stop the ship, or you can click on this little minus sign in the lower left corner of your capacitor indicator. Before loading a new overview profile, it's a good idea to back up and erase your old profile. Click on the hamburger menu in the upper left corner of your overview, and then click Open Overview Settings. Next, click on the Miscellaneous tab, and then go to Export Overview Settings. Be sure to check All, and then give it a name. Click on Export, and then it tells you where the file was saved. Clear that. Now we're going to reset our overview settings and say yes. Now you'll notice all we have is the General, the Mining, and the Warp 2 tabs. That's just the basics. Now we're going to load a popular overview called the ZS Overview. Click on the plus in the upper right corner of your chat menu. Type Z -S space overview and then hit join. Now we're in a channel that has links to lots of overview settings. First we're going to load the ZS Core profile. Click on Yes, and then click on Apply Layout to Finish, that green text. Now we go back to the chat window, and we're going to load another component. We're going to click on the ZS standard layout and then click yes to apply that. And now you can see we have some nice colored tabs for compact, targets, miscellaneous, friendly, warp out, different items. Now we're going to add something else. Click on the hamburger menu and open settings. We're going to go to columns. Then we're going to turn on the tag column. We also want to turn on the transversal velocity column. And then I'm going to drag its position up a few slots to right about there. Now if you look over here, we have the transverse velocity column and the tagging column visible on our overview. Now let's look at some other things that we need to set up before we fly. We'll begin with the drone settings. In the upper left corner of the drone menu, click on the hamburger menu and click on passive and focus fire. Eve is introducing a new user interface called the Photon UI, and the way you set your drones is a little bit different under this user interface. So we're going to show you how to do that. You go over here and you hover over drones in space and click on the gear. And then instead of passive, you want to turn auto attack off and make sure that focus fire is on, as auto attack off is the same as passive. Passive, or auto attack off, means that the drones will only attack what you tell them to. They won't shoot on their own. Focus fire means that they will all fire together, that individual drones won't hit separate targets. Now we want to make sure that our safety is green. If it was on yellow, like that, that's bad. It has to be on green. That way you don't accidentally shoot something that you don't want to shoot and get hit by Concorde. Now we're going to set the alarm settings. In the lower right corner of your capacitor, hit the hamburger menu, and you'll see Configure Ship Health Alert Settings. Click on that. At the top, you'll see Shield Alarm Threshold. I'm going to slide that over to 95%. And you can already see I have my armor and my whole alerts setting around 95%. There's one more thing to check before we fly. In the general settings, you're going to press Escape on your keyboard, and the settings menu is going to come up. Then you go up to the General Settings tab. Under Dueling, make sure you have Auto Reject Invitations on. And under Auto Target Pack, make sure that you have 0 targets selected. Then hit Return to Game. By the way, we did not need to be undocked for that last setting. In this section, we're going to show you how to set up Discord. That's the program that we use for communication. Now, you may already have Discord installed and registered, but in case you don't, we're going to show you how. If you do have Discord installed, skip to the next section of the video. There we'll show you how to connect to our Discord server and how to get the proper roles. You open up a browser, go to discord.com, and in this case we're going to download the Windows version. Save the file.
A few moments later.
Okay, the file finished downloading, and we've launched the file, and now it's installing some updates and starting the program. It's going to ask us to log in. We're going to click on Register, and we'll give it an email and a username that we're going to make up. Let's call it eRookies Demo or ER Demo. And we'll put in a password and your date of birth. Click on continue. Assuming you're not a robot, proves that you aren't. We're going to clear out a couple of pop-up windows that get in the way. And then up at the top in the green box, it says check your email to verify your account. So that's what we did. We went to our email. There was an email waiting for us, and we verified the account. In this section, we're going to show you how to connect to the Eve Rookies Discord server. We assume you already have Discord installed and running and are ready to go. Okay, here we are in the Eve client, and we're going to go over to the chat window. We've got the Eve Rookies Incursions message of the day on the screen. Let's scroll up to the top, and you can see under comms, it says Eve Rookies Incursions Discord. Click on that link, clear the warning message. Yes, we do want to go there. And it will open a browser and take you to that address. That should trigger your Discord application to load. You've been invited to join Eve Rookies. Yes, we would love to join Eve Rookies. Click on the button, and we're in. Now notice we're in a channel called Get Roles Here. And there are a couple of things we need to click on, different options. Just for fun, we're going to click on the U.S. time zone. Let the leadership know where we're located, when we're likely to want to fly with them. What we really need to do is scroll up further, and we're going to click on the I for incursions. Right about there. Click on that, and that gets us the incursion role, and that will get us into the other channels that we want to get into. Now, like I said, we're in the Get Roles Here. When I scroll down, you'll see that we have some other interesting channels. This one is incursion status. Tells you whether or not incursions are available. Incursion fleet pings. That's how you know when there's a fleet coming up. And then for general chat about incursions, you go to the incursion chat channel. Now when the fleet's actually flying, we'll be using one of these comm channels. We click on the comm channel, and it's going to give us some warnings about you need to set up your microphone and some things like that. You don't need to use your video during the fleet, and you really don't need to use your microphone, but you need to be able to hear what the FC is telling you. So you don't have to talk, and you don't use video at all, but you do have to be able to hear. We clicked on the setup gear, and we go to voice and video, and this is where you select your input and output devices. You do want to change to push to talk. You don't want your mic open all the time. Only the FC does that. And you'll set up your quick key. I use the middle mouse button. You can use any hotkey or mouse button that you want for your push to talk. It's finally time to join the fleet. We're going to show you how to do it using a borrowed ship. Here we are. We have the chat window open to Eve Rookies Incursions, and we're seeing the message of the day. If you don't see the message of the day, you need to go in the upper left corner and click on the gear, hit channel settings, and then reload MOTD, and that will get you the message of the day. Now you can see we have the different times that our fleets are scheduled, and also if you look, this is the dock-up location. If you're not already at that location, right-click on it, click Set Destination, and travel to that station and dock up and be ready for the fleet at the scheduled time. Here you can see we're already in that station. Now we're waiting for the FC to tell us to X up. And there's the message. So we type the letter X and the type of ship that we would like to borrow. Alpha Blaster, please.
12 seconds later.
And there's the invitation to join. We click on yes, accept the invitation. And now we have a new chat window called Fleet. Now we have a message from the FC that says we should open a trade. So we're going to right click on the FC's name, click trade, and a trade window pops up. We're going to offer $250 million as collateral for the ship that he's going to send us. Click on offer ISK, type $250 million, click OK, and accept. Then in a moment, the FC offers us the Alpha Blaster. We accept. And now if we look up here in our ships, we have a new Alpha Blaster. Right click on the ship, make active, and there's our brand new ship. And then we can undock when the FC tells us to. Now, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the FC will directly offer you the trade, and you don't have to initiate the trade yourself. And here's how that works. Click on the button that says Offer ISK, and then this pops up, and you'll type 250 million. Click on OK. Click Accept. Then when the FC accepts your trade, you'll have your ship, and you'll be right 250 million. Now we're going to show you how to X up in a fleet when you have your own ship. Over here and click on your fitting window so you can get your fitting on the screen. In chat, you press X and then drag the name of your ship from the fitting window down into the chat window. Then, as an extra measure, I like to type what type of ship I have. The first thing you do once you join the fleet is to set up your watch list. If you go up here to the fleet window, right-click on the FC's name, and then Add to Watch List. That starts your watch list. Then the next thing you do is right-click on each squad, like here's Short Range, Add Squad Members to List. Right-click on Long Range, Add Squad Members to List. But there's another way to do this that I like even better. I'm going to show you that. Now, my other way to do this, again, you start by adding the FC to start the watch list. Then you go down here into Fleet Chat. Notice we're in Fleet. Click on one of the names in the Fleet Chat, and then press Control A to select all. And you can drag the entire list up into your watch list. And that gets it in one quick swoop. The only disadvantage is sometimes there are people in Fleet that are off-grid that you don't really need on your watch list, and they end up there anyway. But it's still much simpler, and that's the way I like to do it. Now that you've got your ship and set up your watch list, it's time to undock and prepare to fly. First thing you do is either hit Control Space or click on the minus sign to stop your ship, and then you're going to turn on what we call spinny bits. That's your shield hardeners, tracking computers, and sensor boosters. Next, we want to make sure that our broadcast settings are correct. Go up here and click on your History tab. That's where you're going to see your broadcasts. Check that the icon is pointing down so that you see all the little broadcast buttons. If not, you have to click up like that to make the buttons appear. Now you can click on that to broadcast for shields. And then there's other options, broadcast for capacitor or armor, which we generally don't use. Also check this icon. Make sure that it's pointing all 4 directions. If you click on it, it's pointing down or up, that's wrong. Click on it till you get all 4 directions. If you're flying your own ship, we encourage you to participate in our Ship Replacement Program, or SRP program. It will reimburse you if you lose your ship due to an FC error, a logi error, or a ganking, up to 6 billion ISK. If you're using one of our borrowed ships, you don't need to pay into SRP. You're already covered. Right-click on Eve Rookies, and then Give Money. Type in 15 million, 15 million, and then under Reason, put SRP. And that's it. Just follow your FC instructions, and they'll tell you what to do next. So now we want to talk about one of the other activities you can do in an incursion fleet. That's scouting and dropping. Suppose you don't have enough skills for a Praxis, even an entry Alpha Blaster Praxis. And suppose you still want to get some experience with incursion fleets and make a little money. Well, we have a way you can do that by being a scout and an ore dropper. You will earn 5 million ISK per site. If you look down here at our different ships, we have something called a hack venture. This is a venture, which is normally a mining ship, except we haven't fit any mining modules onto it. It does have a micro warp drive, a data analyzer, and a small cap battery. What we're going to do with this ship is to scout different locations and see if there's another fleet already running. Most of the time, we want to avoid running into other fleets. Sometimes, just for fun, we will go head-to-head with them in what is called a contest. Whichever team gets the most damage on enemy ships, they get the payout. If you run into a bigger fleet and don't think you can outshoot them, then you want to avoid that altogether. So what we will do is we will give you one of these ventured ships, and you can go out and scout for us and tell us if the site is clear. Here you can see I already have a venture given to me by the fleet. I'm going to undock. Press Control Space to stop your ship. Ready to go out scouting and see what's available. If you look over here in the mining hold, we have stacks of Lyavite, 255 units each. We'll explain to you later what those are for. For right now, we're just going to concentrate on scouting. Go down here to your directional scanner, or hit Alt-D. Now, even though we don't have scanner probes, we can still use this. Set your range to 1 AU and set your angle to 360 degrees. Now come over here to your overview and pick a site to scout. This site is called a Nation Commander Outpost, or NCO. Warp to the site. Clear the pop-up message.
Moments later.
Now we are at the acceleration gate that leads to the NCO battle site. Come over here and click Scan. We see no scan results, which means that there are no ships within 1 AU of this location. So it's safe for the fleet to go in. Come over here and right-click on the site in the overview. Click Broadcast Align To. That tells the FC and everyone else in the fleet that the site is empty and it can be the next site we attack. Here is a D-scan from another site, and as you can see, there are a number of ships in that site, and none of them are ours. So that means that site has already been taken, and you'll want to go to a different site. There are 3 types of sites that we run in a Vanguard Incursion. The most popular site is called an Override Transfer Array, or OTA. It only has 3 waves of bad guys, and it's pretty easy to take out. The next most popular site is the Nation Mining Colony. Again, it has 3 waves. And then the least popular site is the Nation Commander Outpost. It has 4 waves and requires lots of short-range ships, where most fleets are heavy with long-range ships. When you're scouting, be sure to ask your FC which kind of site they prefer. There's one other activity you can perform to help out the fleet. It's apart from scouting. It's called Ore Dropper. In the Nation Mining Colony sites, or NMC, the only way we get payout is to drop 255 units of Lyavite ore into a particular container. So you'll wait outside the gate, and when the FC tells you that you're on the last wave, then you take the gate and you'll go drop in the ore. When you warp into the site, I like to switch over to the General tab. And I look for this structure right here. And I click on that item. It says Asteroid Colony Refinery. Click on Keep at Range 1000. Then quickly hit the micro warp drive and burn towards that location. That will get you in the vicinity of where the canister will appear. When that last army dies, you're looking for something called a Nation Ore Refinery. Click on it and open container. When you get within 1,500 meters of the container, you'll be able to see it in your inventory. There it is. Now drag 255 Lyavite into the container, and you're done. The fleet now gets its payout, and everyone warps off to the next site. And look at the pretty explosion. Now you may have noticed we have an extra module on this venture that's not part of the official doctrine. That's a small remote shield repairer. If you use this module to repair anything, even if it's a wreck, you are eligible to get a payout for this site. Now don't do this unless the FC says it's okay to, because it might reduce the payout of the other members of your fleet. But we're going to show you how to do it. Here we are, we have just warped into a site on the last wave of an NMC. As we burn towards the drop location, we're also going to hit our shield rep. It doesn't matter what we rep, so let's hit this wreck. Now it only needs to be there for a second, so we'll unlock that and disengage the shield rep, otherwise we might run out of cap. When the nation or refinery appears, you open it, open cargo, and drop the ore just like always. The only difference is this time you will note after we have dropped the ore, we're going to get paid. How about that? 10 million ISK. Now again, don't do this unless your FC says it's okay for you to take payout. After all, you're going to be being paid to be a scout anyway. That wraps it up for this video. We hope that you join us at one of our regularly scheduled fleets. The FC will guide you through everything. They'll give you a big new bro speech at the beginning, tell you everything that you need to know, but we hope this gives you a good kickstart to know what it's like to fly an incursion with the Eve Rookies group. We're a really Nubo friendly group, and it's a lot of fun, and we can't wait to see you come fly with us. That's all from me, from Chris Young, aka Sturgis Podmore 5. Fly safe, everyone.